He denied her and newborn twins, then a billionaire stood till her last breath. "Are you sure it's mine?" That's what he said. Not in anger, not even in shock, just cold calculation, like he was checking a receipt before deciding whether to pay. Dana sat in his car, 6 months pregnant with twins, and watched the man she loved measure her worth in that single question. She never saw him again after that night. Fast forward 1 year. She's juggling 2 babies, 2 jobs, and 0 help. Then a stranger walks into her coffee shop and asks to hold her crying daughter. Just like that. No reason, no agenda. And that stranger? He stayed, every single day. While the biological father was out living his best life, this man showed up, fed bottles, changed diapers, learned lullabies. But here's the thing. You don't get to call yourself a parent just because you share DNA. You earn that title, one sleepless night at a time, one fever scare at a time, one moment of showing up when it would be easier to walk away. If you believe that real fathers are made through choice, not chance, like this video right now, and if you think Dana deserves someone who sees her worth, drop Team Dana in the comments. Let's make sure her story reminds every abandoned mother out there that the one who left revealed his weakness, not hers. Stay with me till the very end to see how a billionaire enters this story and changes everything in ways you won't believe. The hospital room felt too small for everything happening inside it. Dana lay propped against thin pillows, her body still aching from delivery, holding 2 impossibly tiny bundles against her chest. The twins, a boy and a girl, were barely 6 hours old. Their features were still wrinkled and red. Their fingers were smaller than she thought possible. "You need to sign the birth certificates," the nurse said gently, placing a clipboard on the rolling table. "For the father's information, should I put—" "Leave it blank," Dana said quietly. Her voice was rough from exhaustion and tears she hadn't let herself cry yet. "There's no father." The nurse's expression shifted to something between pity and understanding. Dana hated both. She focused on the babies instead, on the impossible weight of them in her arms, on the truth that she was now responsible for 2 lives when she could barely manage her own. Her phone sat on the bedside table, silent. She'd called Grant 3 times during labor, 3 times, and each call had gone straight to voicemail. The 4th time, someone had answered. A woman's voice, laughing, asking who was calling at such an hour. Dana had hung up without speaking. 7 months. She'd been with Grant Matthews for 7 months before discovering she was pregnant. 7 months of believing his promises about leaving his wife. About building a life together. About how different everything would be once the timing was right. 7 months of being the other woman without fully admitting it to herself. Of accepting explanations that grew thinner each time he canceled plans or disappeared for days without contact. The pregnancy had forced clarity. When she told him, sitting in his car outside her apartment because he never came inside anymore, his face had done something she'd never seen before. Not surprise, not joy or fear or concern, just calculation, like he was running numbers in his head, measuring risk and consequence. "Are you sure it's mine?" he'd asked. Something inside her had broken so completely she wondered if she'd ever really been whole to begin with. "Get out," she'd said. Her voice was steady, despite the collapse happening inside. "Get out of my car. Get out of my life." He'd tried to backtrack, to soften the question with explanations about responsibility and making sure before they made any decisions. But Dana had heard the truth beneath the words. He didn't want this. Didn't want her. Had probably never wanted either, just the idea of both. The excitement of someone new, someone who looked at him like he was special instead of ordinary. That had been 4 months ago. She hadn't heard from him since, despite the messages she'd sent when the ultrasound showed twins. Despite the careful email she'd written explaining her plan to raise them alone, but offering him the chance to be involved if he chose. Radio silence, except for a single text message 3 weeks ago. "This isn't a good time for me. I'm sure you understand." She understood. She understood that Grant Matthews was a coward who made promises he never intended to keep, who wanted the fantasy of being a good man without doing any of the actual work. She understood that her children would grow up with a blank space where their father should be, would someday ask questions she didn't know how to answer. But right now, holding them close, feeling their tiny hearts beating against her chest, she understood something else too. They were hers, completely, absolutely hers, and she would do whatever it took to give them the life they deserved. "What are their names?" the nurse asked. Her pen hovered over the forms. Dana looked down at the baby girl, at her shock of dark hair and serious expression even in sleep. "Emma," she said, then at the boy, smaller and quieter, his hand curled against his sister's. "And Cole." Saying their names out loud made them real in a way nothing else had. Emma and Cole, her children, her responsibility, her future. The nurse finished the paperwork and left. Dana was alone with them in the quiet of early morning. Through the window, the city was starting to wake up. Traffic sounds building, the sky shifting from black to gray. Out there, Grant was probably sleeping next to his wife, his phone turned off, his conscience clear because he'd decided this wasn't his problem. But in here, in this too small room, with its harsh lights and plastic furniture, Dana was becoming someone new. Not the woman who'd believed a married man's lies, not the mistress who'd convinced herself the situation was more complicated than it was, but a mother. Tired and scared and alone, yes, but a mother. She would figure out the rest later. 3 months after the twins were born, Dana's life had settled into a rhythm that felt less like living and more like constant motion to avoid collapse. Wake up when the babies cried, usually around 4 in the morning. Feed them, change them, try to shower while they slept in their carriers on the bathroom floor, because leaving them alone even for 5 minutes made her chest tight with anxiety. Get to the coffee shop where she worked by 6. The twins tucked into a double stroller that her manager, Beth, had grudgingly allowed her to keep in the back office. "This isn't a daycare," Beth reminded her at least once a week, but she never actually told Dana she couldn't bring them. Small mercies. The morning shift at the coffee shop paid barely enough to cover rent on her studio apartment, but it was flexible, and Beth looked the other way when Dana needed to step away to feed the babies or change a diaper. The afternoon was for her second job, data entry work she did from home. The twins sleeping or crying or sometimes just staring at the ceiling while she typed with one hand and rocked a carrier with her foot. At night, after the babies finally settled, Dana would sit in the dark of her apartment and feel the exhaustion down to her bones. Not just physical tired, though there was plenty of that, but the kind of tired that came from being alone in something that was supposed to be shared, from making every decision by herself, from having no one to hand a crying baby to when she needed just 5 minutes to remember she was still a person. She'd stopped checking Grant's social media after the first month. Seeing his posts, dinners out with his wife, a weekend trip to wine country, a new promotion at work, had made something acidic rise in her throat. He was living his life like nothing had changed, like he hadn't left 2 infants and their mother to manage alone, like his choices had no weight. But today, feeding Cole his morning bottle, while Emma dozed in her carrier, Dana felt something shift. Not acceptance exactly, but a kind of determination that felt stronger than anger. Grant's absence didn't make her weak. It revealed his weakness, and she refused to let his failure become her children's burden. "Your dad's missing out," she whispered to Cole, watching his serious gray eyes focus on her face. "He's missing everything." The coffee shop was already busy when she arrived, pushing the double stroller through the back entrance. Beth was at the counter, her expression tight in the way that meant they were short-staffed again. "Sarah called in sick," Beth said by way of greeting. "Think you can handle register and drink prep at the same time?" "I'll make it work," Dana replied, settling the twins in their usual corner of the back office. She'd gotten good at making things work, at stretching herself thinner than should be possible, at functioning on 3 hours of sleep and cold coffee. The morning rush was brutal. A line out the door, the espresso machine acting up, customers impatient, because everyone was always impatient. Dana moved through it on autopilot, taking orders and making drinks, and forcing smiles until her face ached. She was halfway through a complicated order when she heard Emma crying from the back office. Not the regular fussy cry, but the building wail that meant she was working up to something serious. Dana's chest tightened, but there were still 8 people in line, and Beth was on her break. And she couldn't just leave. "I've got it." The voice came from the man at the front of the line, the one whose order she'd been taking. Tall, maybe early 30s, with dark hair and kind eyes that crinkled at the corners when he smiled. "The baby," he clarified, gesturing toward the back office. "I'll sit with her until you can take a break, if that's okay." Dana's first instinct was to refuse. You didn't let strangers watch your children. But Emma's crying was getting louder, and the customer behind him was already checking his watch with loud impatience. And something in the man's expression made her hesitate. "You don't have to." "I know," he said, "but I want to help, and I promise I'm not a serial killer or anything." It was the kind of joke that shouldn't have worked, but somehow did. Dana found herself nodding, pointing toward the back office. "She probably just needs someone to hold her for a minute. I'll be there as soon as I can." She watched him disappear into the back, every protective instinct screaming at her to follow. But the line wasn't getting shorter. And Beth wouldn't be back for another 10 minutes, and she had to trust something sometime. By the time she made it to the back office 15 minutes later, ready to apologize and usher the stranger out, she found him sitting cross-legged on the floor. Emma was cradled in one arm, quiet now. While Cole dozed in his carrier nearby, the man was humming something soft and off-key, and Emma's tiny hand was wrapped around his finger. "You're good at that," Dana said, and he looked up with a slightly embarrassed smile. "My sister has 3 kids," he explained. "I've logged some serious baby hours. I'm Logan, by the way." "Dana?" She moved to take Emma, but Logan was already standing, transferring the baby with the practiced ease of someone who actually knew what he was doing. "Beautiful children," he said. And it didn't sound like a polite nothing. It sounded genuine. "How old?" 3 months. Twins, obviously. Dana settled Emma back into her carrier, checking Cole even though he was still sleeping peacefully. "Thank you for care. I don't usually let strangers hold my kids." "But desperate times?" Logan offered with a slight smile. "Something like that." Dana straightened, suddenly aware of how she must look. Exhausted, rumpled, with spit up on her shoulder she'd stopped noticing hours ago. "Did you still want coffee? I completely forgot your order." Large black coffee, nothing fancy. He pulled out his wallet, but Dana shook her head. "It's on me. Least I can do." She made his coffee while he waited, aware of him watching her in a way that should have felt uncomfortable but didn't. When she handed him the cup, their fingers brushed briefly, and she felt something she hadn't felt in months. Not attraction exactly, more like recognition, like he saw her. Not just the exhausted single mother, but the person underneath. "I come in here most mornings," Logan said at the door. "Around this time, so if you ever need someone to hold a baby while you work, I'm around." It was a strange offer, borderline inappropriate from someone she'd just met. But Dana found herself smiling anyway. The first real smile she'd managed in days. "I'll keep that in mind." He did come back, the next morning, and the morning after that. At first, He just ordered his coffee and left. But gradually, when the shop was slow, or when one of the twins was fussy, he'd offer to help, holding Cole while Dana restocked cups, walking Emma around the shop when she was fighting sleep. Small things that somehow felt enormous. "You don't have to keep doing this," Dana told him after the first week, even though part of her desperately hoped he would. "I know," Logan said, bouncing Cole gently. "But maybe I want to." She should have been suspicious, should have questioned why a stranger would invest time in someone else's children with no clear benefit. But something about Logan felt steady, in a way nothing in her life had felt steady in months. He showed up when he said he would. He helped without making her feel like she owed him. He treated the twins like they mattered, not like they were inconveniences to be tolerated. So Dana let herself accept it, let herself have this small piece of help in a life that had felt impossibly hard. And she tried not to think about what it meant that a stranger was showing more care for her children than their actual father ever had. By the end of the second week, Logan's presence had become part of the rhythm. Dana found herself looking for him during the morning rush, found herself relaxing slightly when he walked through the door, found herself actually laughing at his terrible jokes about coffee beans and sleep deprivation. "You're different today," Beth observed one afternoon, wiping down the counter while Dana prepared to leave. "Lighter somehow." "Am I?" Dana adjusted Emma in her carrier, trying to sound casual. "That guy who comes in every morning, Logan, he's helping you, isn't he?" Dana felt her defenses rise. "He just holds one of the twins sometimes when it gets busy. That's all." "That's all?" Beth raised an eyebrow. "Dana, he's been coming here every single day for 2 weeks. Always at the same time, always offering to help. That's not just being nice to a stranger." "Then what is it?" "I don't know," Beth said carefully. "But maybe you should find out." That conversation stayed with Dana through the rest of the day, through the evening routine of feeding and bathing the twins, through the quiet hours after they finally fell asleep when she sat at her laptop doing data entry and wondering what Logan's motivation really was. Was Beth right? Was this more than just kindness? And if it was, what did that mean? Dana had barely survived one man's abandonment. She wasn't sure she could risk trusting another, especially not with her children's hearts. But the next morning, when Logan walked through the coffee shop door at his usual time, Dana felt something warm unfold in her chest. And when Emma started fussing 20 minutes later, and Logan appeared at the counter with that questioning look, Dana nodded without hesitation. "She's probably hungry," Dana said. "There's a bottle in the warmer in the back, if you don't mind." "I've got it," Logan said, already heading toward the back office like he belonged there. And maybe, Dana thought, watching him go, that was the scariest part. How natural it felt. How right. 2 months into their strange friendship, Logan arrived at the coffee shop on a Saturday afternoon instead of his usual morning visit. Dana was in the middle of her shift, the twins napping in their carriers, when he walked in with a woman she didn't recognize. Dana's stomach dropped in a way that surprised her. She had no claim on Logan. He was just a customer who happened to help out sometimes. The fact that her chest tightened seeing him with someone else was her problem, not his. But Logan caught her eye and smiled, gesturing the woman forward. "Dana, this is my sister, Holly. She wanted to meet the famous twins." "Famous?" Dana managed, relief flooding through her so intensely she felt lightheaded. "Logan talks about them constantly," Holly said with a warm smile. "I had to see these miracle babies for myself. Hope that's okay?" "Of course." Dana moved around the counter, suddenly self-conscious. Logan's sister was put together in a way that made Dana aware of her stained apron and hastily tied hair. "They're sleeping right now, but you're welcome to meet them." Holly knelt beside the carriers, her expression softening as she looked at Emma and Cole. They're beautiful, Dana. Absolutely beautiful. Thank you, Dana said. The words automatic. She'd heard it before. People always said babies were beautiful, whether they meant it or not. But something in Holly's voice sounded genuine. Logan mentioned you're doing this alone, Holly continued, straightening. That takes incredible strength. Dana's throat tightened. She wasn't used to people acknowledging the hard parts, the reality of what her life had become. Most people either offered useless advice or uncomfortable pity, but Holly's words felt different, like recognition without judgment. I'm figuring it out, Dana said. You're doing more than that. Holly glanced at Logan, something passing between them that Dana couldn't read. Listen, I run a childcare co-op in my neighborhood. Parents share babysitting duties, trade hours, help each other out. We always need more people. If you're interested, I can't afford, Dana started. It's not about money, Holly interrupted gently. It's about time. You watch someone's kid for a few hours, they watch yours. Community support. Dana felt something crack open in her chest. The idea of having help, real help, from people who understood what it meant to be responsible for tiny humans. It felt impossible. Too good to be true. I don't know, she said slowly. I work weird hours, and the twins are still so young. Which is exactly why you need support, Logan said. At least think about it? She did think about it. For the rest of her shift. Through the evening routine of feeding and changing and soothing the twins to sleep. Through another night of broken rest and exhausted mornings. She thought about how tired she was. How close to breaking sometimes. How she'd been doing this completely alone for 5 months. And how the weight of it was getting heavier instead of lighter. 3 days later, she texted the number Holly had given her. The co-op met in a community center every other week, a gathering of parents and children of various ages. Dana walked in feeling out of place, the twins heavy in her arms, her diaper bag sliding off her shoulder. But Holly was there immediately, introducing her to other mothers, helping her find a quiet corner to feed Emma, while Cole dozed against Logan's chest. Because Logan was there too, not as a parent, but as Holly's brother who apparently helped out regularly. He moved through the chaos with easy comfort, holding babies and entertaining toddlers, and somehow making everything look simple. Dana watched him from across the room, watched the way he bounced Cole with practiced rhythm, the way he smiled at something a toddler said, the way he seemed completely at ease in a space that made Dana feel like an imposter. He's good with them, isn't he? A woman sat down beside Dana, young, maybe mid-20s, with tired eyes that Dana recognized in her own mirror. Logan, I mean. My daughter adores him. He mentioned his sister has kids, Dana said, still watching Logan and Cole. 3 of them, the woman confirmed. But it's more than that. Some people are just naturals. He actually sees kids as people, you know? Not just small, annoying humans. Dana did know. She'd seen it in the coffee shop, the way Logan talked to Emma and Cole, like their preferences and comfort mattered, like they were whole people deserving of respect. You're lucky, the woman continued. Having someone like that in your corner. We're not, Dana started, then stopped. Because what were they? Friends? That didn't feel like the right word, but anything else felt presumptuous. Whatever you are, the woman said with a knowing smile. Don't let it go. Good men who show up, they're rare. After the meeting, Logan helped Dana load the twins into her car. Emma was fussy, fighting sleep, and Cole had a diaper situation that required immediate attention. Logan handled both without being asked. Changed Cole in the community center bathroom while Dana fed Emma in the car. Then took Emma so Dana could actually buckle Cole into his car seat properly. Thank you, Dana said, for maybe the 100th time that day, for everything, for bringing Holly into my life, for the co-op, for just being here. You don't have to keep thanking me, Logan said, gently rocking Emma. I want to be here, But why? The question burst out before Dana could stop it. Why do you keep showing up for us? You don't owe us anything. We're not your responsibility. Logan was quiet for a moment, still rocking Emma, his expression thoughtful. Can I tell you something? He finally said. Something I don't talk about much. Dana nodded, her heart beating faster. I was married, Logan said quietly. For 5 years, we wanted kids, tried for a long time. When it didn't happen, when the doctors said it probably never would, he paused, then continued. She left, said she couldn't be with someone who couldn't give her children. Dana's breath caught. Logan, I'm sorry. I didn't know. No reason you would. He looked down at Emma, who had finally fallen asleep against his shoulder. I'm telling you, because I want you to understand why I showed up that first morning. Why I keep showing up. Why? Dana's voice was barely a whisper. Because I've wanted to be a father my whole life, Logan said simply. And watching you with Emma and Cole, seeing how much you love them, how hard you fight for them even when it's impossible. It matters to me. Helping you matters. The moment stretched between them, heavy with things Dana didn't know how to name. Before she could respond, Emma stirred and whimpered, and the spell broke. But something had shifted, something that made Dana's chest tight and her hands shake as she buckled Emma into her car seat. Same time next meeting? Logan asked, stepping back from the car. Yeah, Dana managed. Same time. She drove home with her mind racing, Logan's confession playing on repeat. He'd wanted children his whole life. His wife had left him because he couldn't give her that. And now he was here. Showing up for someone else's babies. For her babies. What did that mean? What did he want? And more terrifying, what did she want? Over the next few weeks, Logan became a constant in their lives. Not intrusive, but present. He'd show up at the coffee shop on Dana's hardest days, somehow always knowing when she needed an extra set of hands. He'd text to check if she needed anything from the store when he was making a run. He'd bring dinner on nights when Dana was too exhausted to cook. Simple things that he'd leave in her fridge without making a big deal about it. And with the twins, he was magic. Cole, who was fussy and hard to soothe, would settle immediately in Logan's arms. Emma, who'd started showing a serious, watchful personality, would break into gummy smiles when Logan walked in. They knew him, trusted him, reached for him like he belonged. It terrified Dana. Because what happened when Logan realized this was too much? When the novelty wore off, and the reality of someone else's children became a burden instead of a choice. What happened to Emma and Cole when another man walked away? She couldn't let that happen. Couldn't let them get hurt the way she'd been hurt. But watching Logan feed Cole a bottle one evening, his expression soft with concentration, Dana felt her resolve cracking. Because the truth was, she was falling. Not just for the help he provided, but for him, for the man who showed up, who remembered that Emma liked to be bounced vertically and Cole preferred horizontal rocking, who brought the right kind of diapers without being asked, who looked at her children like they mattered, who looked at her like she mattered. The breaking point came on a Tuesday night. Both twins had been sick for 3 days. Low-grade fevers that spiked without warning. Emma refusing to eat. Cole crying for hours straight. Dana had called out of work at the coffee shop, had fallen behind on her data entry deadlines, had barely slept in 72 hours. She was sitting on the floor of her apartment at 2 in the morning, Cole screaming in her arms, Emma wailing in her carrier, Dana's own tears falling silently because she was too tired to even sob properly. She'd tried everything, bottles, rocking, songs. Nothing worked. Her phone buzzed. A text from Logan. Can't sleep, want me to bring coffee? Dana stared at the message, at the casual offer that felt like a lifeline. Her fingers shook as she typed back. They won't stop crying. I don't know what to do. Three dots appeared. Then, I'm coming over 20 minutes. You don't have to. I know. See you soon. Logan arrived 17 minutes later, took one look at Dana's face, and gently lifted Cole from her arms. When did they last eat? Cole had 2 ounces an hour ago. Emma won't take anything. Okay, you try Emma again. I'll walk with Cole. We'll tag team this. For the next 3 hours, they worked in synchronized silence. Logan pacing the small apartment with Cole. Dana coaxing Emma to take small sips from a bottle, switching when one baby seemed to respond better to the other person. Taking turns checking temperatures, changing diapers, offering comfort that felt futile but necessary. By 5 in the morning, both twins had finally fallen into exhausted sleep. Logan placed Cole carefully in his crib, then turned to find Dana standing in the middle of the living room, staring at nothing. "Dana," he said softly, "you okay?" "You can't do this," she said, her voice flat, empty. "Can't do what?" "This," she gestured between them. "At the twins' room. At everything. You can't just be this person for us. It's not fair." Logan looked confused, tired. Fair to who? To them. Dana's voice cracked, finally breaking. "They're getting attached to you. What happens when you decide this is too much? When you meet someone and want your own life back? They're going to lose another person who's supposed to stay." "Dana!" "Their father already abandoned them," she continued. The words spilling out now. Everything she'd been holding back for weeks. He wanted nothing to do with any of this. And I'm not letting some stranger come in and play house until he gets bored and disappears too. The silence that followed was heavy. Cole stirred slightly in his crib. And Logan's expression shifted to something Dana couldn't read. "I'm not their father," Logan said finally, his voice low, controlled. "And I'm not trying to be. But I'm also not some stranger playing house, Dana. I care about you, all of you, and I'm not going anywhere unless you tell me to." "You can't promise that." Dana's hands were shaking. "Nobody can promise that." "I can." He met her eyes, steady and sure. "I can promise that I'll show up, that I'll help however you'll let me, that those kids matter to me, and so do you. I can promise all of that." "Why?" The question came out as barely a whisper. "Why would you want this? We're not your responsibility." "No," Logan agreed. "You're not. But maybe I want you to be. Maybe I want to be someone you can count on. Someone who chooses to stay instead of choosing to leave." Dana felt tears sliding down her face. Exhaustion and hope tangled too tight to separate. "I can't afford to believe you." "That's okay." Logan shifted closer. Not touching, just present. "You don't have to believe me yet. Just let me keep showing up. Eventually, you'll see I mean it." She wanted to argue, wanted to protect herself and her children from the possibility of another abandonment, but she was so tired of fighting alone, so desperate for help, so hungry for someone to share the weight. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay?" Logan's expression softened, relief visible in the lines around his eyes. "Okay, now go sleep. I'll stay here and watch them. If their fevers spike, I'll wake you. But you need rest." "Logan, you don't—" "Dana." He said her name like a full sentence. "Let me help, please." She was too tired to argue anymore, too tired to maintain the walls she'd built. She nodded, stumbling toward her bedroom. And for the first time in 5 months, Dana slept knowing someone else was watching over her children. When she woke 4 hours later, sunlight was streaming through her window. Panic seized her immediately. The twins. She'd slept too long. They needed to eat, needed to be changed. She rushed into the living room and stopped short. Logan was asleep on her couch. Emma tucked against his chest, Cole in a carrier on the floor beside him, both babies sleeping peacefully. and on the coffee table sat 2 empty bottles and a note in Logan's handwriting. Both ate at 7 a.m. Diapers changed, temps normal. You needed sleep more than I needed comfort. Coffee's in the pot. Logan. Dana sank onto the arm of the couch, staring at this man who'd spent the night in her apartment, who'd fed her children and let her sleep, who was still here, still showing up. Something in her chest cracked wide open. And for the first time since Grant had asked if the twins were his, Dana let herself feel hope. The months that followed developed a pattern. Logan became woven into the fabric of their lives. Not every day, not intrusively, but consistently. He'd stop by the coffee shop most mornings, sometimes just for coffee, sometimes to hold whichever twin was fussy. He'd text before going to the grocery store. Need anything? Always casual, never making Dana feel like a burden. He showed up at the co-op meetings, helped other parents wrangle their kids, but his attention always found its way back to Emma and Cole. To Dana, "He's in love with you," Holly said one afternoon, watching her brother stack blocks with a toddler while Dana fed Emma across the room. In case you hadn't noticed, Dana nearly choked on her coffee. "What? No, we're just what?" Holly raised an eyebrow. "Just friends? Friends don't learn the specific way your daughter likes to be burped. Friends don't memorize your son's feeding schedule. Friends don't look at you the way Logan looks at you." "He's never said anything," Dana protested weakly. "Because he's terrified of scaring you off," Holly said. "He knows what you've been through. He's not going to push. But Dana, my brother is building a life around you and your kids, whether you see it or not." Dana did see it. That was the problem. She saw the way Logan's face lit up when Emma smiled at him, saw the gentle patience he showed Cole during fussy evenings, saw the way he looked at her, like she was capable, strong, worth something. It terrified her and thrilled her in equal measure. What if it doesn't work? Dana asked quietly, "What if we try this and it falls apart? Emma and Cole will lose him. I can't do that to them." "What if it does work?" Holly countered. "What if you spend so much time protecting yourself from what might go wrong that you miss what's going right?" That conversation stayed with Dana, circling in her mind during quiet moments, during late nights when she couldn't sleep, during mornings when Logan showed up with that easy smile and offered to hold Emma while Dana made his coffee. She was falling in love with him. Had probably been falling for months. The realization didn't come as a dramatic moment, just a quiet truth that settled into her bones one morning while watching Logan teach Cole to clap his hands. This was what partnership looked like. Not grand gestures or empty promises, but showing up, day after day, choosing presence over convenience. But Dana had learned the hard way that love didn't guarantee anything. Grant had probably loved her once, or thought he did, and look how that ended. "You're thinking too loud," Logan said, pulling Dana from her thoughts. They were at her apartment, the twins napping. Logan had brought dinner, Thai food from the place Dana mentioned liking 3 weeks ago. "Sorry," Dana said, "just tired." "Liar," Logan smiled, gentle and knowing. "You get this look when you're overthinking, like you're trying to solve a complicated equation." "Maybe I am." "Want to talk about it?" Dana looked at him, really looked, at this man who'd become essential to her life without her quite noticing when it happened. Who knew her coffee order and her children's schedules and the exact brand of diapers she preferred? Who showed up? Who stayed? "Why are you really here, Logan?" she asked. "And don't say it's just to help. There has to be more to it than that." Logan set down his fork, his expression turning serious. "You want the truth?" "Always." "I'm here because I want to be," he said simply. "Because when I see you with Emma and Cole, I see the kind of parent I always wanted to be, the kind of family I always wanted to have, and I know I'm not their father. I know I don't have any claim to them or to you. But being part of your lives, even at the edges, means more to me than you probably realize. Logan, I'm not asking for anything, he continued quickly. I just want you to know, so you understand why I keep showing up. It's not obligation, it's not pity, it's choice. Every single day, I choose this. I choose you. Dana felt tears threatening. What if I can't give you what you want? What if I'm too broken from what Grant did? You're not broken, Logan said firmly. You're surviving. There's a difference. And I'm not asking you to give me anything right now. Just let me keep being here. Let me keep choosing you. The rest, we can figure out as we go. It wasn't a declaration of love, wasn't a promise of forever, but somehow it was better. It was real, honest, without the pressure of expectations she couldn't meet. Okay, Dana whispered, keep choosing us, and I'll try to believe you mean it. Logan smiled, reached across the table to squeeze her hand briefly. That's all I'm asking. On the twins' first birthday, Dana woke up to find Grant's name on her phone screen. A text message, sent at 2 a.m, probably when he was drunk or guilty or both. I've been thinking about them, about you. Can we talk? Dana stared at the words for a long time, feeling nothing. A year ago, this message would have destroyed her. 6 months ago, it would have made her angry. But now, holding her phone in the early morning light, while Emma and Cole slept in their cribs, she felt only a distant pity for the man who'd missed everything. He'd missed Cole's first smile, the way he'd started reaching for faces around 3 months, missed Emma's serious concentration as she learned to roll over, then sit up, then pull herself to standing. Missed the first tastes of solid food, the first laughs, the first words that were somewhere between mama and nonsense sounds. He'd missed Cole getting sick with a fever that sent Dana to the emergency room at midnight, terrified and alone until Logan showed up 20 minutes later, having gotten her panic text, missed Emma's helmet for her flat spot, the months of physical therapy to correct a slight delay in her motor skills, missed the hard parts that had nearly broken Dana, but it also made her stronger than she'd ever been. And he'd missed the good parts too. The way Cole's whole face lit up when he was happy. The way Emma had started signing more and milk. Her tiny hands making shapes that meant something. The way they'd started sleeping through the night. Finally, blessed relief that made Dana feel almost human again. Grant had missed all of it, by choice. Dana deleted the message without responding. She had a birthday party to prepare for. The celebration was small. Just the co-op families in Logan, crowded into her tiny apartment with streamers and a cake that Holly had baked. The twins wore matching outfits that Holly had bought, sitting in their high chairs and making a glorious mess of their smash cakes while everyone laughed and took pictures. Logan was in the corner, his phone out, capturing video of Cole's chocolate-covered face. He'd been doing that lately, documenting little moments. Dana had noticed but hadn't said anything, touched by his investment in their lives. Speech, Holly called out, and Dana felt her face flush. I don't... Come on, Holly insisted, grinning. Mother of the birthday twins has to say something. Dana looked around the room at these people who'd become her support system, her village. Then at Emma and Cole, their faces sticky with frosting, their eyes bright with overstimulation and joy. A year ago, she started, her voice shaking slightly, I was alone in a hospital room, terrified out of my mind. I didn't know how I was going to do this. How I was going to be enough for 2 babies who deserved so much more than I thought I could give. She paused, gathering her words. Someone told me recently that family isn't always about blood. It's about who shows up, who chooses to stay. Her eyes found Logan's across the room. This past year has been the hardest of my life, but it's also shown me that I'm not alone, that there are people who choose us, even when they don't have to, and that makes all the difference. The room broke into applause, and Dana felt tears on her cheeks that she didn't bother to wipe away. Logan crossed to her, pulling her into a hug that felt like safety, like home. "Thank you," she whispered against his shoulder. "For what?" "For showing up, for staying." She pulled back to look at him. "For choosing us." Logan's hand came up to cup her face, his thumb brushing away her tears. "Always," he said simply, "I'll always choose you." The party wound down slowly, parents gathering their children, saying goodbyes, promising to see each other at the next co-op meeting. Holly stayed to help clean up, washing dishes while Dana wiped down high chairs and picked cake out of the carpet. "He wants to adopt them, you know," Holly said casually, not looking up from the sink. Dana's hands stilled on the wet cloth she'd been using. "What?" "Logan. He wants to legally adopt Emma and Cole, become their father officially." Holly finally looked up, meeting Dana's shocked expression. "He's been researching it for months. I thought you should know." Dana's heart was pounding. "He said that?" "He didn't have to say it. I know my brother." Holly smiled softly. "He's in love with all three of you. Has been for a while, but he's too afraid of pushing you away to say anything." "I don't." Dana felt like the ground was shifting under her. "We're not even together." "Aren't you?" Holly raised an eyebrow. "He's here almost every day. He knows their schedule better than most fathers know their own kids. They call him Dada now. Have you noticed?" Dana had noticed. It had started last month, Cole first, then Emma copying him. Logan had gone very still the first time, his eyes finding Dana's with a question he hadn't asked out loud. She'd just smiled, her heart too full for words. "That doesn't mean—" "Dana." Holly's voice was gentle but firm. "You can keep pretending this is just friendship if you want. But those kids have a father, and it's not the man who walked away, it's the one who shows up every single day." After Holly left, Dana stood in front of the twins' cribs, watching them sleep. Cole with his fist against his face. Emma sprawled out like a starfish, almost 16 months old now. Growing so fast it made her chest ache. They did call Logan Dada. They reached for him when they were hurt or scared. They looked for him when he wasn't there. And Logan loved them. Completely. Obviously. With an intensity that still sometimes took Dana's breath away. But adoption meant permanence, meant legal ties and court documents, and a level of commitment that terrified her. What if it didn't work out? What if Logan changed his mind? What if— Her phone buzzed. Logan, asking if she needed anything from the store. Such a small thing, but he did it every day. These small acts of care that had become the foundation of her life. "Can you come over tonight?" she texted back. "After the twins are asleep, we need to talk." The three dots appeared immediately. Disappeared, appeared again. Finally. "Of course. Everything okay?" "Yes. Just, we need to talk." Logan arrived at 8:30. His expression worried, despite Dana's reassurance that nothing was wrong. She'd made coffee, set out the cookies he liked, prepared herself for a conversation that felt bigger than anything they'd faced yet. "Holly told me," she said, as soon as he sat down, "about adoption." Logan went very still. "Ah, were you going to tell me?" "I didn't know how." He ran a hand through his hair, a gesture Dana recognized as nervousness. "I didn't want to pressure you or make you think I was trying to, I don't know, take over. But I've been thinking about it for months, and He broke off, then started again. "I want to be their father, Dana. Legally, officially. Not because their biological father walked away, but because I choose them, because I love them." "And me?" The question came out smaller than Dana intended. Logan met her eyes, and what she saw there made her breath catch. "And you. I love you, Dana. I have for a long time. But I didn't want to complicate things or make you feel like you owed me anything, Because I help with the twins, so I kept quiet. Logan, you don't have to say anything, he continued quickly. If you don't feel the same way, we can keep things exactly as they are. I'll still show up. I'll still help. I'll still love those kids like they're mine. But if there's any chance you might feel the same way, I want you to know that I'm all in. Completely, terrifyingly all in. Dana felt tears on her face again, but they weren't sad tears. They were relief and hope and something that felt dangerously like joy. I'm scared, she admitted. Grant left without a second thought. What if you... I'm not Grant. Logan's voice was firm. I will never be Grant. I'm the man who showed up in a coffee shop and asked to hold your crying baby. I'm the man who learned their schedules and their preferences and the exact way Cole likes to be bounced when he can't sleep. I'm the man who wants to read them bedtime stories for the rest of my life and teach them to ride bikes and embarrass them at their high school graduations. He paused. I'm the man who loves you, who sees how hard you fight for them every day and wants to fight beside you, who wants to be their father, not because their biological one failed, but because being their dad is what I want most in the world. They already call you Dada, Dana whispered. I know. Logan's voice was rough with emotion. Every time they do, my heart feels too big for my chest. Dana stood, crossing to where Logan sat. She took his face in her hands. This man who'd chosen them when he didn't have to, who'd built a family with her piece by piece, day by day. I love you, she said. I've been falling in love with you for months, but I was too scared to admit it. Logan's arms came around her waist, pulling her close. Not scared anymore? Terrified, Dana admitted, but I'm tired of letting fear make my decisions. When Logan kissed her, it felt like coming home, like the missing piece she hadn't known she was looking for, like every hard thing she'd survived had led her exactly here, to this moment, to this man who'd chosen her children and then chosen her. So, Logan murmured against her lips, adoption? Yes. Dana smiled through her tears. Yes to everything. The adoption papers took 6 months to process. 6 months of background checks and home visits and interviews with social workers who wanted to make sure Logan understood what he was taking on. 6 months of watching Logan prove over and over that he was serious, that he wanted this, that he wasn't going anywhere. They'd been living together for 3 of those months. Logan had moved into Dana's apartment gradually. A toothbrush first, then clothes. Then his presence became so constant that paying rent on 2 places felt absurd. This is really happening, Dana said one morning, watching Logan make pancakes while Emma and Cole banged spoons on their high chair trays. We're really doing this. Getting sick of me already? Logan teased, flipping a pancake with practiced ease. Never. Dana moved behind him, wrapping her arms around his waist. Just can't believe this is my life now. A year and a half ago, I was alone and terrified. And now? And now you're stuck with me, Logan finished, turning to kiss her forehead. Hope you're ready for that. More than ready. But Grant wasn't ready to let go quietly. 2 weeks before the final adoption hearing, Dana received a certified letter. Grant was contesting the adoption, claiming he'd never voluntarily given up his parental rights, claiming he wanted to be part of Emma and Cole's lives. After a year and a half of silence, Dana said, her hands shaking as she read the legal documents. After ignoring every message, every update, every picture I sent, now he cares? Logan read over her shoulder, his jaw tight. This is about control, not them. He can't stand that you moved on, that someone else is stepping into a role he abandoned. What if the judge believes him? Dana's voice cracked. What if they decide he deserves another chance? Then we show them the truth, Logan said firmly. We have documentation of every unanswered call, every ignored message, the blank birth certificates. His text saying it wasn't a good time. We have a year and a half of proof that he chose to walk away. The hearing was scheduled for a Tuesday morning. Dana barely slept the night before, lying awake next to Logan, imagining worst-case scenarios. Grant winning, Logan's adoption denied, her children caught in the middle of a custody battle with a man who'd never wanted them in the first place. "Stop thinking," Logan whispered in the darkness, pulling her closer. "Whatever happens, we face it together." "I can't lose you," Dana said. "They can't lose you. You won't. They won't." Logan's arms tightened around her. "I promise you, Dana. No matter what that judge says tomorrow, I'm not going anywhere." The courtroom was smaller than Dana expected, sterile and intimidating. Grant was already there with his lawyer, looking polished and successful in an expensive suit. He didn't look at Dana, didn't acknowledge her presence. Logan sat beside Dana, his hand finding hers under the table, steady and warm. Grant's lawyer spoke first, painting a picture of a father who'd been shut out, who'd made mistakes but wanted to make amends, who deserved the chance to know his children. "My client has been attempting to reach out," the lawyer said smoothly, "but Ms. Dana has been unresponsive, blocking his attempts at reconciliation." It was such a blatant lie that Dana almost laughed. Almost. If it wasn't so terrifying. Then it was their turn. Logan's lawyer, a sharp woman named Kate, who'd taken their case pro bono through the co-op connections, stood up. She presented the evidence methodically. Phone records showing Dana's unanswered calls during labor. Screenshots of ignored messages about the pregnancy. The twins' first months, their first birthday, the birth certificates with the father line left blank because Grant had asked if they were even his. "This is not a father who was shut out," Kate said firmly. "This is a father who walked away, who questioned paternity, who explicitly stated that this wasn't a good time for him, and who only showed interest when another man sought to provide the love and stability these children deserve." Grant's expression tightened, but he still didn't look at Dana. The judge reviewed the documents in silence. The wait felt eternal, Dana's heart pounding so hard she thought everyone in the courtroom must hear it. Finally, the judge looked up, her expression unreadable. "Mr. Matthews," she said, addressing Grant directly, "when did you last see these children?" Grant shifted uncomfortably. "I haven't had the opportunity." "That's not what I asked. When did you last see Emma and Cole?" "I haven't," Grant admitted. "But I've been trying." "The documentation shows otherwise," the judge interrupted. "Multiple attempts from Miss Dana to involve you, all ignored. A direct text message from you, stating this wasn't a good time. Blank birth certificates because you questioned paternity." She leaned forward slightly. "Mr. Matthews, you had a year and a half to be a father. You chose not to take that opportunity." Grant's lawyer stood quickly. "Your Honor, my client was young, overwhelmed. He made mistakes, but—" "Mistakes," the judge repeated, her tone sharp. "Mr. Matthews is not a teenager. He's a grown man who made a conscious choice to abandon his children. And now, only when another man seeks to provide what he refused to give, does he suddenly claim parental interest." She turned to Logan. "Mr. Reed, please stand." Logan stood, his hand squeezing Dana's once before letting go. "You understand what you're taking on?" the judge asked. "The financial responsibility, the emotional investment, the lifelong commitment to children who are not biologically yours." "Yes, Your Honor," Logan said, his voice steady. "I understand completely, and I want it, all of it. Emma and Cole are already my children in every way that matters. This just makes it legal. How long have you been in their lives?" "A year and a half, since they were 3 months old." "And you've been present consistently during that time?" "Every day that Miss Dana would allow me," Logan said. "I know their schedules, their preferences, The way Cole needs to be rocked horizontally when he's upset. The way Emma signs more when she wants something. I know their pediatrician's name, and their favorite books, and exactly how much milk they drink before bed. I know them because I've been there. Because I chose to be there. The judge nodded slowly, then looked at Grant. Mr. Matthews, can you tell me anything about your children's daily routines, their preferences, their needs? Grant opened his mouth, closed it, looked at his lawyer helplessly. That's what I thought, the judge said. Biology doesn't make you a father, Mr. Matthews. Presence does. Consistency does. Love does. And the evidence before me shows clearly who has provided those things to Emma and Cole. She picked up her gavel. Adoption granted. Mr. Reed, these children are legally yours. Congratulations. The sound of the gavel hitting the bench echoed through the courtroom. Dana felt tears streaming down her face, relief so intense it made her dizzy. Logan turned to her, his own eyes wet, and pulled her into his arms. It's done, he whispered. They're mine, legally, officially, forever. Across the courtroom, Grant stood abruptly, his chair scraping loud against the floor. He looked at Dana for the first time, really looked at her, and she saw something in his expression, not regret exactly, but recognition of what he'd lost, what he'd thrown away. Dana, he started. Don't, she said quietly, firmly. You made your choice a year and a half ago, when you asked if they were yours, when you ignored my calls during labor, when you decided this wasn't a good time. You don't get to change your mind now just because someone else sees their value. I was scared, Grant said, and for the first time he sounded human, vulnerable. I panicked. I wasn't ready to be a father. And Logan was? Dana's voice rose slightly. You think he was ready? He showed up anyway. He chose them anyway. That's the difference between you. You let fear make your decisions. He chose love despite his fear. Grant had no response to that. He looked at Logan, who stood beside Dana with his hand on her back. Protective but not aggressive. And something in Grant's expression shifted to acceptance. Take care of them, Grant said finally, to Logan, not to Dana. They deserve better than I could give. I know, Logan said simply, and I will. Grant left the courtroom without looking back, his lawyer following behind, and Dana felt the last piece of her old life close. The chapter with Grant was finished. The new chapter, with Logan, with her family, was just beginning. Outside the courthouse, Holly was waiting with Emma and Cole. The twins were almost 2 now, talking in small sentences, running everywhere. They saw Logan and immediately started reaching for him. Dada, Emma called out, her arms stretched wide. Dada, up! Logan scooped her up, tears still visible on his face. Hey, baby girl, guess what? I'm officially your dad now. How about that? Emma patted his face, not understanding but responding to his emotion. Dada sad? No, sweetheart. Dada's happy. So happy. Cole tugged on Dana's leg. Mama, home? Yeah, buddy, Dana said, lifting him onto her hip. We're going home, all of us, together. If you've ever watched someone choose love over biology, family over DNA, commitment over convenience, hit that like button right now, because this is what real parenthood looks like. Not perfection, not biology, but showing up, day after day. Choosing to stay when walking away would be easier. Drop "Real Fathers Choose" in the comments if you believe that the man who stays matters more than the man who leaves. And subscribe, because you need to hear how this family story continues to unfold in ways that will restore your faith in chosen family. The twins were almost 2.5 when Logan and Dana got married. A small ceremony in the same community center where the co-op met. Emma was the flower girl. Cole was the ring bearer. Both took their jobs very seriously. which meant Emma threw approximately 3 petals before getting distracted by her shoes. And Cole tried to eat the ring pillow. "This is perfect," Dana whispered to Logan at the altar, watching their children cause controlled chaos. "This is exactly right. Wouldn't have it any other way," Logan agreed, grinning as Holly rescued the ring pillow from Cole's mouth. They'd moved to a bigger apartment 3 months earlier. 2 bedrooms so the twins could have their own space. A kitchen big enough for Logan to make his Saturday morning pancakes. A living room that fit all the toys and books and the life they were building together. Dana had gotten a promotion at the coffee shop, assistant manager now, with better pay and actual benefits. She'd stopped doing data entry work, finally able to focus on one job instead of 2, finally able to breathe. Logan had started his own business, consulting for tech companies, working from home most days, which meant he could do school pickup, could be there when the twins were sick, could be present in a way that mattered. They weren't rich, not by any stretch, but they were stable, comfortable, happy. "I never thought I'd have this," Dana said one night, lying in bed beside Logan after the twins were finally asleep. "A real partner, a real family. I thought Grant ruined that possibility for me." "Grant revealed what you deserved," Logan corrected gently. "Someone who sees your worth. Who doesn't take you for granted? Who chooses you every single day? You make it sound easy." "It's not easy," Logan said. "It's work. Every relationship is work. But it's work I want to do. Work that matters. Work that builds something real instead of tearing something down." Dana turned to face him. This man who'd walked into her coffee shop and asked to hold her crying baby, who'd stayed when leaving, would have been simpler, who'd built a family with her from broken pieces. "I love you," she said, "in case I don't say it enough." "You say it plenty," Logan smiled, "but I'll never get tired of hearing it." From down the hall came a small cry. Emma, probably having a nightmare. Before Dana could move, Logan was already up, already padding down the hallway in his bare feet. She listened to his soft voice soothing their daughter, to Emma's cries quieting, to the creak of the rocking chair as Logan settled in to stay until she fell back asleep. Their daughter, their family. Grant had given Dana 2 beautiful children, but he'd given her nothing else. No support, no love, no partnership. He'd created life but refused to build it. Logan hadn't created Emma and Cole, but he'd built everything else, built a family from the ground up, day by day, choice by choice, built a home where before there had only been survival. Built a future where Dana had only been able to see the present. And maybe that was the real measure of parenthood. Not biology, but presence. Not DNA, but devotion. Not who made them, but who stayed. Logan had stayed, was still staying, would always stay. 3 years later, Dana stood in the kitchen of their house. An actual house. 3 bedrooms. A backyard where Emma and Cole could play, a home office for Logan, a space that felt permanent in a way nothing in Dana's life had felt permanent before. Emma was 5 now, starting kindergarten in the fall, already reading simple books and asking questions that made Dana's head spin. Cole was quieter, more thoughtful, but with a smile that could light up a room when something truly delighted him. They didn't remember Grant. Didn't remember a time when Logan wasn't their dad. To them, he'd always been there. Always been the one who made pancakes on Saturday mornings and did silly voices when reading bedtime stories. Always been the one who showed up. "Mama," Emma called from the backyard, "come see what me and Cole built." Dana walked outside to find an elaborate structure made of blocks and sticks and what looked like half the contents of the toy box. Logan was crouched beside them, offering suggestions but letting them lead, teaching without controlling. "It's a castle," Cole explained seriously. For the princess and the dragon to share. They're friends, Emma added. The princess and the dragon. So they live together. That's beautiful, Dana said, meaning it. Loving the way her children saw the world. The way they believed in friendship over conflict. In sharing over fighting. Maybe because they'd grown up in a home where love was chosen. Where family was built. Where presence mattered more than blood. Logan looked up at her, smiled. And Dana felt the same warmth she'd felt that first morning in the coffee shop. When a stranger had offered to hold her crying baby. When she'd taken a risk on trusting someone new. When she'd started to believe that maybe, just maybe, not everyone who entered her life would leave. That night, after the twins were asleep, Dana and Logan sat on their back porch. The summer air warm, the neighborhood quiet, their hands linked together. I got a message from Grant today, Dana said quietly. First time in 3 years. Logan's hand tightened slightly on hers. What did he want? To know if the kids were okay. If they were happy. Dana looked at their linked hands. I sent him a picture. Emma and Cole in the backyard, laughing, covered in mud, being kids. How did he respond? He said they looked good, that I'd done a good job raising them. Dana paused. Then he said thank you. For letting them go, for giving them the father they deserved. Logan was quiet for a moment. That must have been hard for him to say. Probably, Dana agreed, but it was the truth. You are the father they deserve, the father they need, the father they love. I'm the lucky one, Logan said. Getting to be their dad, getting to be your husband, getting to build this life with you. None of this was what I planned, but it's better than anything I could have imagined, even though they're not biologically yours. Especially because of that, Logan said firmly, because it means I chose them, and they chose me. And that choice, that daily decision to be a family, that matters more than any DNA ever could. From inside the house came a sound, Cole calling out, not upset, just wanting reassurance that his parents were still there. Logan started to stand, but Dana stopped him. I've got this one, she said, squeezing his hand. You stay. Enjoy the quiet. She found Cole standing in his doorway, holding his stuffed elephant, looking sleepy and small in his dinosaur pajamas. Mama, is Dada still here? He asked. Of course, buddy. He's on the porch. Why? Just checking, Cole said. Then, with the honesty of a 5-year-old, I had a dream he went away, like the stories about the other dad. The one before. Dana's heart clenched. They'd tried to be age-appropriate about Grant, had explained that some people become parents by biology and some by choice, that both were real, but that Logan was the dad who stayed. Logan's not going anywhere, Dana said. Kneeling down to Cole's level, he chose us. He chooses us every single day. That's what makes him your real dad, not biology, choice. He promised? Cole asked. He promised, and Logan always keeps his promises. Cole seemed satisfied with that, gave Dana a sleepy hug, and went back to bed. And Dana stood in the hallway of her home, listening to her children breathe, listening to her husband moving around downstairs, and felt a peace so complete it brought tears to her eyes. This was her life now, not the one she'd planned. Not the fairy tale she'd imagined as a young woman, but something better, something real, something built on truth and choice and daily commitment. Grant had denied her and the newborn twins, had walked away when things got hard, had chosen comfort over responsibility. And for a long time, Dana had thought that said something about her worth, about what she deserved. But then a stranger had walked into her coffee shop and asked to hold her crying baby. A stranger who became a friend, who became a partner, who became a father, who stood with her through every hard moment. Who chose her and her children when he didn't have to? Who proved that family wasn't about blood, it was about presence? about showing up, about staying. Logan had stayed, through sick nights and teething pain and toddler tantrums and all the beautiful, messy chaos of building a family. He'd stayed when walking away would have been easier, when no one would have blamed him for deciding this was too much, too complicated, too hard. He'd stayed, and in staying, he'd shown Dana and Emma and Cole what real love looked like, what real commitment meant, what a real father was. Not the man who created them, but the man who chose them, every single day, without hesitation, without regret, with a love so pure and complete, it transformed everything it touched. That was the man who mattered. That was the man who built a family from broken pieces. That was the man who stood until Dana's last breath would come decades from now, surrounded by the family they'd built together, the children they'd raised, the love they'd chosen. And that, Dana thought, returning to the porch where Logan waited, that was everything. If this story reminded you that family is built, not born, that fathers are made through action, not biology, that love is a choice we make every single day, then like this video. Share it with someone who needs to hear that being abandoned doesn't define your worth, that the person who leaves reveals their weakness, not yours, and that sometimes the family we choose loves us better than the family we're born into. Drop chosen family in the comments if you believe that showing up matters more than showing off, that presence beats presents, that consistency beats chemistry, and that the truest measure of love is staying when leaving would be easier. Subscribe to Consequential Stories with Benjamin for more stories about people who choose love over convenience, who build families from broken pieces, who prove every single day that the ties we choose can be stronger than the ties we're born with. Because these are the stories that matter, the ones that remind us what we're capable of, what we deserve, and what real love looks like when we're brave enough to accept it. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And remember, you are not defined by who walks away. You are defined by who stays, by who chooses you, by who sees your worth and refuses to let you forget it. Those are the people who matter. Those are the people who change everything. And sometimes they walk into a coffee shop on a Tuesday morning and ask to hold your crying baby, and everything changes, forever.